Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. I'm Sharon Francis with the Minority Business Assistance Center here in the Columbus region. And on behalf of our director, Jesse Mark III, I want to welcome you to today's session, which is getting ready or get ready for bid opportunities. Know that many of you are looking for getting contracts, particularly with local and state government, some even with federal government. And we have one of our industry experts that is here with us today, Deonna Barnett. She's going to be sharing with us on this topic today. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Deonna is a small business strategist and consultant with expertise in business planning, financial management, operations management, project management, and marketing strategy development. She is the CEO and managing consultant of Aventi Enterprises, LLC, a strategic consulting firm based in Columbus, Ohio, that helps small businesses access capital and government contracts. And her services include business strategy and planning, preparation for financing, diversity certification assistance, and small business outreach. Aventi focuses its efforts on the development of women and minority-owned businesses throughout the state of Ohio by way of community partnerships and online education. So that's just a little bit about her, and we are so pleased that she's taken the time out of her schedule to share with you in this session. So I am going to turn it over to her now, and she will take it from there, and we'll be here at the end. If you have questions, you'll be able to vent them at that time. Welcome, Deonna.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for having me. Thank you to the Minority Business Assistance Center. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right, so this webinar is an overview of bids and proposals. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat at any time. I can respond to your questions when I see them at the end. Columbus Urban League staff, you'll help me address the questions at the end of the presentation. So you did hear a little bit about me. Just to add, I have about 13 years of experience in small business development. Over the years, I've trained over 2,000 entrepreneurs in the areas of business planning and management. I do have 10 years of nonprofit experience. I am a graduate of the Fisher College of Business at the Ohio State University, and I've started 3 businesses of my own, including Aventi Enterprises. I'm able to share personal experience in business as well as experiences from clients and mentors over the years. Outside of work, I am a wife, mother of 4 boys, and a musician. And I will skip the information about Aventi because you already heard it. But some impact that we have had on the community in the last 3 years includes training over 500 in business planning, certifications, funding, and more. We provide direct consulting services to an average of 125 startup and expanding small businesses each year. And to date, our clients collectively generate over 25 million in revenues, creating 280 jobs. We've helped businesses access over $4 million in client funding through the COVID-19 relief efforts and working capital. And we also have maintained 100% certification approval rating in getting companies certified as MBE, WBE, DBE, and more. We are a third-party entity, and we do not represent any government agency and corporation. However, we do refer clients to resources such as the MBAC when it is appropriate. So we really appreciate the work that the MBAC does for our small business community. Today, I'm going to give an overview of the bidding process, discuss the components of a bid, and then I'll share some tips on strategies to win a bid. So let's get started with a quick overview of bids, contracts, and working with the government. So the U.S. government is the largest consumer of goods and services in the entire world. the largest consumer. In 2019, the federal government spent about 13% of its budget on contractual services and supplies, which equates to $926 billion. And of that budget, the government has set aside 23% of its contractual spending just for small businesses. That equates to $213 billion for small businesses. These dollars, they can either go directly to the businesses that win the contracts, also known as the prime contractor, or to the businesses that the prime contractors hire to perform services known as the subcontractors. If you don't have any government contracting experience, it may be best to start as a subcontractor and getting the experience you need to later become a prime contractor, because the prime contractors, they have to do all the paperwork. And if you're not familiar with that and you have to perform the job, that can be overwhelming sometimes. In fiscal year 2020, of the contracting dollars that went to small disadvantaged businesses, only 2.8% went to Asian-owned businesses, 1.8% went to Hispanic-owned small businesses, and just 1.7% went to Black-owned small businesses. Last year, President Biden directed federal agencies to increase contracting with small disadvantaged businesses by 50%. And that push was directed at the federal level, but many corporations and local government agencies began looking for ways to push their diverse spend as well. And while there are widespread efforts to increase contracting opportunities for disadvantaged businesses, such businesses must be in position to receive and maintain those contracts to be successful. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So why even consider contracts? Why is that important to your business? Responding to bids and gaining contracts, we look at that as a business strategy that creates revenue of consistent payments and cash flow. It's a great strategy to keep you from chasing one-time transactions every month, especially if you land a 1, 2, or 3-year contract. You don't have to keep looking for sales every month. This increase in steady cash flow into your business strengthens your company's value to lenders and investors. If you are in need of bank lending, steady cash shows the lender you have the ability to repay. And if you're looking to sell in the future, the contracts can potentially transfer over to the buyers of your business, which makes your investor happy. So obtaining a contract gives you the opportunity to build your team, access capacity building resources, and increase the skill set and experience of your company. Prior to bidding on a contract, you may have to find outside resources to work with you on a project, which could lead to long-lasting relationships and the ability to perform at higher levels. So you may see contractors that get these large projects, but they may not do everything in that project. They may subcontract out portions of that work, and that's where the subcontracting opportunities come into play. If you perform well on a project, that leads to more referrals and recommendations to other opportunities. And yes, of course, agencies do communicate with each other, and they talk about high and low performing vendors. So it's up to you to stay in good light with your contractual clients by doing well on the job. And then some contracts are designed for just small business, women-owned, and or minority-owned businesses. In this case, agencies and corporations, they may set aside for a particular project for those who fit in this group. They may set aside a contract or portions of a contract, and to determine who qualifies for these set-asides, they may look for certified businesses or businesses who've been certified in that area, such as MBE, WBE, so on. So what can you get a bid? What can you get a contract in? So there's bid opportunities ranging from the most common construction services. That's what we mostly hear about is construction, but it also includes landscaping, marketing, medical services, printing and materials, supplies, and a whole lot of other services. Because bid opportunities cover such a wide range of products and services, you should also keep your eyes and ears open to the available opportunities and prepare to bid. So again, the government's buying just about anything. You can find your way into a contract in more than one way. When preparing to submit a bid, you should have a few basic items in place. The first is to have a legal business, register with your Secretary of State, have an EIN or tax ID number, and any required licenses or permits required for that product or service for which you're bidding, and then a team to perform the job. Again, if you don't have all of the skill sets on your current team, who else can you bring on to satisfy all those skills required for that contract? So when the government wants to buy goods and services, it issues a solicitation. Solicitations are packaged documents with requirements of a particular request so that you can submit a competitive bid. There are 3 types of common bids that we're going to review today. That's the IFB or the ITB, RFQ or an RFI, and an RFP. I'll go through each one of these here in more detail. So the IFB or the ITB. IFB is invitation for bid, or an ITB is an invitation to bid. IFBs are sealed bids and they're considered complete, meaning there are no opportunities for negotiations. This is what it is. The agency knows exactly what they want, how many they need, and how it's supposed to be delivered. When an IFB is used, agencies believe many vendors can deliver the same work or products without much difference. So the lowest price bidder is most likely considered in this case. So the bidder, that would be the small business owner going after this. The bidder is required to sign some standard forms, either SF-33 or SF-1449, and that's simply to simplify the acquisition process. These are the SF-33 and the SF-1449. Those are contract forms used to respond to bids and award contracts. So that's the IFB. An RFQ or an RFI is requesting pricing information about the service or product needed, and further discussion may occur later after submission and review of the bid. RFQs are generally awarded on lowest and best prices, as well as quality of goods and services and timeliness of delivery. RFQs may be sent out to pre-selected vendors or pre-qualified vendors, or it can be made available publicly. There may be a general quote response form to complete, very similar to the IFB, and some supporting documents like resumes and qualifications. And then an RFP, request for proposal, is generally issued when the agency isn't certain of how a product or service is to be delivered, and they're requesting a proposal to that solution from the vendors and a cost estimate. So an RFP is a negotiated contract where further discussion may take place after the proposal submission to select the final vendors and to negotiate costs. Sometimes you'll go into an interview or multiple interviews. An RFP can be offered in what they call a 1, 2, or 3 envelope system. These systems explain how RFPs are reviewed and considered. So for like a 2 and a 3 envelope system, the proposals are reviewed to ensure they meet certain criteria or compliance before they move to the next stage of review and consideration. So again, like you might have multiple interviews and multiple reviews. An RFP reads with legal text. It can be really long, it can be lengthy in process, and is not considered a responsive bid without all complete information. If the proposal is not considered responsive, it's not considered for the contract, and sometimes they don't even read it. So if you don't have everything in it, it's not responsive and it's not considered. So before we talk about the components of a solicitation, let's talk briefly about the bid process and managing expectations. So when completing a bid, you should prepare to spend anywhere from 2 hours to 20 plus hours total, depending on the type of solicitation, like our IFB, RFQ, or RFP. And the complexity of the project at hand determines the length of how long it takes you to complete this as well. You can do all the paperwork and submit everything yourself, or you can hire a consultant to help you with the bidding process. So let's go over the components of a bid. The first step to reading a bid is to understand the common components of a bid solicitation. Here we will review 12 components, and depending on the type of bid will determine how many components you'll have to review. So we're going to review each component looking at an RFP, which is one of the lengthier bid solicitations. So we'll start with intro to offers. This is one of the first pages or the cover page of the solicitation package. It includes the bid number. Can I point to this while I do this? Okay, the bid number, who the agency is, Ohio, the contract name or the project name, also the title of this bid project. The RFP structure can be in the form of a table of contents or a summary of how the bid is written so that you can easily find the major sections of that solicitation. So this is the RFP structure. The purpose and background information section explains how the bid opportunity came about, which can help you in developing a technical proposal that will address a qualifiable solution to the agency's needs. So it's really important to kind of read through that. What's the background? How did they get to this point? And what is the purpose of this proposal? Important dates. This section includes when the solicitation became available for bid, an inquiry period or a time when you can ask questions, when answers to those questions will be made public. So when someone submits a question, every question that's submitted is public knowledge, and generally they will release all the questions and answers at a certain time. When the bid is due or the day all bids will be open for review, and when the contract is expected to be awarded. So when you look at your RFP or your bid, make sure you capture all the important dates to make sure you stay on track with your submission. SOW, standing for scope of work or statement of work. This scope explains what is needed to be done and what should be delivered back to the bidding agency as work is completed. So what is it that they want you to do? Scope of work. Included in the bid it may be its own section or it might be embedded within another section, is the eligibility overview, setting the criteria for the offers who are going to bid on the solicitation, and the qualifications, which describes the preferred credentials by the agency for the bidder. Sometimes these are the qualifications, and the eligibility may be difficult to find, but they're in there. It's in there. Or if you can't find it, you can ask a question during the inquiry period or at a pre-bid meeting, and make sure that you qualify and are eligible. The worst thing to do is to put together a proposal that you're not eligible for, because you're not even going to be considered. Proposal requirements section details what should be included in the bid for proper consideration. In this example, it's requested that the proposal contain 19 sections of information and included in the order as listed from numbers 1 through 19. So you got to put that in that order when you submit, starting with a cover letter in this example and mandatory requirements, certification, signed contracts, and then ending with the cost summary and preference certification statements. In the following pages of this example, which I'm not going to show, each proposal section requested is described in more detail so that you would know what to submit for each section. So this proposal should have a minimum of 19 sections. Otherwise, it's not responsive, meaning it's not complete. Budget and costs may be a cost summary or an itemized budget of the expenses necessary to complete this project by the bidder. Generally, for the RFP, you may be presenting a price. The RFQ you present a price, the ITB or the IFB is lowest price bidder. In some cases, they will provide a template like this cost summary form And then in other cases, you'll need to develop your own budget format and the line items. So they give you a budget of you can't go above this number. This cost summary form states that the budget for this project is $250,000, and below in the budget table, the bidder is to enter the unit cost per budget line item. So this example gives you a table. And if there is not a template, you can use something like this to create one. General instructions for submission. This section explains how to ask questions, how to submit the bid, to whom it should be submitted and then in what form, whether it's mail or electronic delivery, email. The general instructions section in this example also provides links to learner guides and tutorials on responding to a State of Ohio bid. You're not going to always get that, so thank you, State of Ohio. Evaluation criteria explains how the proposal will be scored. This is most likely for RFPs. IFBs and RFQs are generally looking for the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, lowest price, excuse me. And then the award process details how and when the contract will be awarded. If they don't give dates, the dates might be in the important dates section, but the award process says like all the steps that they'll take until a contract is awarded. So tips on winning a bid and how to develop a winning strategy. I have about 5 tips here on the best way to win a bid. Number 1, understand the scope of work. That's really important. If the scope is something you cannot perform or have not performed, you are less likely to win this bid. That doesn't mean you won't win, but it reduces your chances based on a number of determinants, such as the number of bidders, if they qualify, and if they have demonstrated success in this area. So the more people that are responding to a bid on a project that you've never done significantly decreases your chances of winning, especially if they've done it before. Number 2, attend the pre-bid meeting. This is a time to get a better understanding of the essence of the project and help you to develop the best price or technical proposal based on the stated needs during this time. You can ask any questions at this pre-bid meeting to clarify areas of the bid that wasn't quite clear to you. And you can also meet with prime contractors if you believe you would be better served as a subcontractor on that particular bid. You can connect with those companies who are going after this project, and you can strengthen their proposal with your skill set. Number 3, ask questions during inquiry period. This is outside of the pre-bid meeting. More questions may come to mind after you go to the pre-bid meeting and as you're working on your proposal. You can send your questions in for clarification, and then at a certain time, all of the questions that were submitted will be released on a document with all the answers. So someone may have asked a question that you may not have thought about, but it's been helpful to you. So capturing all of that information will also support you in developing your proposal. Plan well in advance of the bid. How do you do that? Network with your buyers, whether it's government or corporate agencies, to understand their needs ahead of time. Sometimes they'll tell you, hey, this is coming out. Sometimes they won't, but sometimes they will, and make them aware that you exist and form a relationship with them that puts you on top of mind once the bid is released. Depending on what the bid is, they may, and you get on their vendor registration, you may be the first to get the bid, and that just puts you at a competitive edge and in the know. Sometimes agencies offer the same bid every year, every other year. Knowing that, you can prepare for the next time that comes out. And lastly, team up. If you don't meet all the qualifications and don't have enough past performance demonstrating success in the proposed area, find other companies or team members who do, so that you have a capable and qualified team to enhance and submit a competitive bid. Here are some resources for you. PTAC centers, Procurement Technical Assistance Center, Small Business Development Center, SCORE, and your Minority Business Assistance Center are all available to assist you at no charge. Our company, Aventi Enterprises, is a third-party consulting firm that does not represent a government or corporate entity. We do charge service fees for our assistance to you in the proposal writing process, as we become extensions of your management team in identifying and evaluating and preparing for proposals and submission. I'm just going to put our contact information up here. You can call us at 614-528-4138, or you can go online at aventienterprises.com and schedule an intro call to see if we are right for you. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. And my personal IG is Startup Biz Fanatic. You can follow me there. And what I'll do now is open up the floor for questions.
Thank you, Deonna. That is, I was a power-packed 30 minutes. A lot of good information in there, and definitely want to invite those who are attending our session today. If you have any questions, there is one that I will put to you. One was just to clarify, it says budget costs would be the cost the bidder would require, or I think she means as to when I think on that RFP, it had what their budget was.
Okay,
Are
yeah.
they looking, are they looking for bidders to meet that number, come under that number, or what is that? Is that kind of like just a guideline?
Yeah, that's their budget for that project. So you cannot exceed that as you
Gotcha.
are creating those itemized budget lines. So you'll say
Hmm.
how much, whatever
Gotcha.
that line item costs. The total cannot exceed 250. You
Gotcha.
can, there is no like formula that says it has to be 250 or it has to be so much under 250, because it's competitive and it's going to depend
Right.
on all the other areas of your proposal as well.
Okay. Very good. Very good. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay. I think that we've got a lot of clients, obviously, that are looking to start contracting or getting involved in contracting. And especially when you're looking at an RFP that is major like that, many of them may not necessarily have that capacity. So I know that your business, you're able to consult in that regard. And you also mentioned the PTAC. And so particularly if you're looking at doing business with the federal government, that is an excellent resource. And regardless, it's good to talk to those who are experts in the area to help you hone your own skills. It's not a matter of, okay, I have a bid and I'm just going to give it to you. Can you prepare and the proposal for me? The idea is that we wanted to build our clients' capacity so that they can actually be able to respond. Any questions? I see a few of my clients that I've worked with in the past that are in the room. Do you have all your hearts and minds clear? Okay, here we go. Deontay Williams is asking, he says, what's your advice for a first-time bidder? How can I win a bid if I don't have any experience in this process?
My my advice would be to subcontract and get your
Mhm.
feet wet. So if there is a project that is out for bid that you're interested in, and there is a pre-bid meeting, I'd suggest you go there and see who's going after that contract and introduce yourself and ask if you can provide any support in whatever area that you can, or set a scheduled meeting just to talk. And that
Okay.
could also give you an opportunity to connect for a subcontracting opportunity. Another thing you could do is if you do find, let's say you're on a database, whether it's the state's public solicitation database or another database for a city or something, and you find a contract that you can perform a portion of it, and you know somebody else who could actually go after it, you could send that to them and say, hey, can we talk about working on this together, and allow them to be the lead on it and let you subcontract. So do that a few times to get comfortable with it, because your prime is going to ask you some questions for reporting purposes. That gets you familiar with the reporting process. When you do become a prime, you can handle some of the reporting and conversations with the agency in addition to performing your work.
Sounds good. Also in that regard too, particularly if you're looking at doing business with the state of Ohio, you can go to you can go to the MBE page on the state Department of Development and see other MBEs that have been certified. You can also, going through the Ohio Buys portal, you can see what contracts have been awarded to MBEs and other minority contractors, so that you can see who might be a potential partner, somebody that you can reach out to. As far as being, and I think there was a question here about, can you briefly go over the steps to becoming a subcontractor? I think you kind of hit on it, but if you want to expand on it, Deonna.
Yes. Go to pre-bid meetings, connect with companies who are going after the contract. If you know of companies who have already gone into the contracting space, connect with them and share contracts that you could potentially go in on together. And what Sharon just mentioned about going through the MBE directory on the state's website to identify companies you might be interested in working with, who already received contracts, schedule a meeting, have a conversation, introduce yourself, and let them know that you are available for subcontracting opportunities.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Think we just got the question answered. Certainly reading through those solicitations is going to be important for you to get that information. A lot of times people, see an opportunity and they're jumping, trying to respond when they haven't really read all of the detail. For example, if a pre-bid meeting is mandatory, and if it's already passed and you miss that meeting, I've seen that happen in time past.
Yes.
So you just want to make sure that you know what the dates are, and so that you can be sure to respond in time and on time. Let's see if we have any others. Okay. Speaking of that subcontracting opportunity, we just actually in our newsletter put out an information on an opportunity. This is a construction contract, but just to kind of give you an idea, it's actually from a prime that is looking for MBEs who would be looking to a subcontract under him. So a lot of these prime contractors are indeed looking for people that can provide certain services to help strengthen their application, or their bid on that particular job. So they're definitely out there. What would you suggest as far as people that are not necessarily in construction? I know Ohio Buys obviously has their supplier portal. Can you, talk to folks about how to get involved with that? Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, it's very similar. Because if you're not construction, there's a little less paperwork, but you would still go onto that bid portal and take a look and see what contracting opportunities are there that fit your industry. Also, just through networking and talking to different agencies, you may be able to identify a problem and a solution that they may not have even considered to put out to bid. And with that, you're able to present a proposal, what they call unsolicited, because it did not go on it wasn't made public on the portal. So there's opportunities there just through networking. I was at I was doing an information session for another agency, and the agency was there, and just because they were in the room, the caterer got a contract with the agency for their staff training meeting just because
There
they
you
were
go.
there and they became aware of them. So
Fantastic.
be visible too.
Fantastic. Absolutely. There is an upcoming in outreach event at the East High School on this Friday for Columbus City Schools. They are looking for potential contractors to bid on opportunities with Columbus City Schools. And there's just a wide range of services that they would be, that you can participate in. And so sometimes when you get to go to those events and find out what types of solicitations might be available, you can get to meet the actual procurement officers. And one thing we always recommend that you have your capability in statement, so that you've got something that you can leave with them, as you're networking with people and you're telling them about your business. You can give them something that is like your business resume, as well as your card or your contact information. That's how you start building those relationships that can lead to opportunities as well. Yes, it is this Friday, Brian. I believe it is from, let me look at the time, if I can just get some confirmation on the time. Rosita, again. It's from 11:30. It's no, what time the session is on Friday with Columbus City Schools. So we're just checking on that now, but there's an opportunity there. And the types of services and goods that are available for contracting. You see here on the screen, this particular website, and let me just go here. It's procure.ohio.gov. Okay. You need to know this spot. And also, if you go to our on our weekly newsletter, we have a bid opportunity section, and we have links to all of these pages for the state of Ohio, for Department of Transportation, ODOT, the city of Columbus, also Franklin County, and even the city of Westerville. And any opportunities that are coming available, if you click on those links, you can see just what's out there. And you should do it every week. You should do it every week and see perhaps if there's something that fits, the services and or the product line that you might have available. Okay.
I wanted to add something.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what we were talking about, but I wanted to also mention about diversity goals. So there are agencies that may have a goal to serve so many MBEs or WBEs and so forth. So a prime contractor may get the project who is not an MBE or WBE or DBE, but they will look to contract to those certified businesses. And so some cases, the primes will actually seek you out, but you would have to be certified.
Good.
Going back to the contracts, you don't necessarily have to be certified to get a contract, but that gives you a competitive edge, especially if there's a goal to contract with 20% MBEs for that year. So if you're not certified, I do encourage you to connect with MBAC and get certified, just so that you're ready, so you don't have to get ready.
Sounds good. Let's see, that time for the Columbus City Schools is from 10 to 12. And it's in person. You don't even have to register. Just show up. The door is open. Okay. Let's see. And somebody wanted to get some help with signing up with regard to MBE and to get certified. Absolutely. You can reach us, the MBAC. Just send us an email, mbac@cul.org. I will be putting up that information on the screen shortly. As well, you can go to our website, cul.org/mbac, and then there's a button where you can request our services, and then we can certainly help you with that process. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Very good. So now you see what this portal is, and sometimes it's just good to get out and explore and see what's out there. so that you can, you never know what opportunities might be available for you. Okay. Deonna, thank you so much. As always, uh, you are informative, you're professional in your presentation, and certainly I know that you've supported a lot of small businesses, women-owned businesses with your company, and we are proud of you. And just glad that we
Thank
were
you.
able to
Thank you.
partner with you, even
Absolutely.
as we serve small businesses. Your Minority Business Assistance Center here to serve you. So thank you again for joining us today. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us by email, mback@cul.org. Look forward to serving you. Have a great day.